Horns up and welcome to episode 2 of Ramen Wars. 8 of Mumbai's top ramen bowls will compete against each other in a knockout-style contest. The top 8 competing bowls are Izumi, Mizu, Sifa, Koraku, Origami, Milliways, Chef James' Japanese Kitchen, and Kofuku. Let's find out who will be battling it today. Contender 1. Tonkotsu ramen with pork bone broth from Origami for 850, but I paid 917 on Swiggy with taxes and tip. Contender 2. The Tonkotsu ramen from Chef James' Japanese Kitchen for 770, but I paid 833 on Swiggy with taxes and tip. It's Origami versus Chef James' Japanese Kitchen. Let the battle begin.
Round 1, fight! As you can see visually itself, the ramen from Origami looks generous, it looks good. There are a lot of different elements. There's some pork choy, there's bamboo shoots, there's a generous serving of pork and half an egg that is perfectly cooked with a jammy center. And this from Chef James' Japanese Kitchen looks more humble, looks more rustic and not very generous. 2 pieces of pork, the whole egg though. However, the egg, if you look at it, the yellow is nice and jammy, but the white, there's actually a bit of white that is undercooked as well, so that's a bit concerning. Just spring onions, nothing else, simple noodle, broth, meat and egg. Here a little more, but let's get tasting. So let's try the ramen from Origami. Let's go for the broth. Nice cloudy broth, very savory. A little one note but still very nice. Let's dig into the noodles. The noodles are nice and soft. They've soaked in some of the flavor from the broth. Of course, we got to try the pork. Let's go. So the pork is nicely cooked. They've left the skin on, which is nice and gelatinous. Not a huge amount of flavor in the pork, but it's pork, so it's got that porky flavor anyway. And of course, the egg. Perfectly jammy, goes well with the broth. I like this. Now let's try this one. Oh wow, that broth is actually really good. There are a lot of flavor notes there apart from just having that savory note. That is a pretty good broth. Let's hope everything else lives up as well. Let's get some of those noodles. The noodles are nice. They've got some sort of chew to it. They feel very handmade, but a little bit doughy, I would say, texture wise. But they are very tasty noodles. I do quite like the chew of the noodles. But now, of course, got to try the pork. So the pork has been torched and that has dried out the lean part a little bit. It's not too bad once you have it with the soup as well. But I think that's a bit of a letdown. If the pork was a little more juicy and succulent, it would have been a banger. And of course, the slightly undercooked, and I don't mean the jammy egg yolk, I mean this little jiggly part of the white here. Let's try that. It's an egg. I'm going to have to do a bit of a comparison now. Broth for broth. They're both very similar. This is a tough one. So both bowls were quite good. I just think the Origami bowl edges out Chef James a little bit because their noodle quality is really good. There's generosity in the bowl and the pork is just cooked perfectly. Overall, I enjoyed both bowls. I would give the Origami one 8.5 out of 10 and I would give Chef James a 7.5 out of 10. And that means Origami has won today's battle. I'll see you on the next episode of Ramen Wars. Until then, cheers and keep eating.